Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you tonight about something that might sound a little strange, a little confusing, and maybe even a little uncomfortable. No matter how strange it may seem, this person adores you. I know some of you are already shaking your heads because you're thinking, Steve, if they adore me, why don't they say it the way I expect? Why don't they act the way love is supposed to look? But that's exactly where we get it wrong. Love often hides behind unexpected behavior, and that's one of the hardest truths for people to accept. We grow up believing that love will announce itself clearly, confidently, and without confusion. We expect it to be loud, obvious, and perfectly timed. But real love, the kind that lasts, doesn't always follow rules. Sometimes it shows up looking strange, inconsistent, or even uncomfortable, and because of that, we misjudge it. There is a person in your life who cares deeply about you, but they don't express it the way you imagined. They may not shower you with constant compliments or dramatic gestures. Instead, they show concern in quiet ways. They ask questions that seem ordinary, but those questions come from genuine care. They notice when something is wrong, even when you say you're fine. They may not say, "I adore you," but their actions reveal it every single day. A lot of people struggle to show love because of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish, fear of being vulnerable. When someone has been hurt before, they don't run toward love. They approach it cautiously. Their affection comes out guarded, hesitant, sometimes even awkward. And because it doesn't look confident, you mistake it for disinterest. But the truth is, they care so much that they're scared of losing you. Sometimes love hides behind behavior that feels confusing. They tease you, challenge you, or act distant at times. Not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to handle what they feel. They are fighting emotions they don't fully understand. They don't want to overstep. They don't want to scare you away. So they pull back when they should lean in, and you read it the wrong way. You have to understand that everyone loves from the place they were taught. Some people were never shown how to express affection openly. They learned love through responsibility, loyalty, and presence, not through words. So when they adore you, they show up, they help you, they stay consistent, they listen more than they speak. That may not look romantic to you, but it is real. We miss out on meaningful connections because we're looking for love to feel a certain way. We want intensity instead of stability. We want excitement instead of security. And the person who truly adores you may feel calm, safe, and steady, so you overlook them. But love isn't always butterflies. Sometimes love feels like peace, and peace can feel boring if you're used to chaos. If you slow down and really observe, you'll see it. The way they respect you, the way they show concern without being asked, the way they stay even when it's inconvenient. Love doesn't always come wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it comes hidden in strange behavior, waiting for you to recognize it. Actions speak louder than perfect words, and this is where most people misunderstand love. We have been trained to listen for the right phrases, the romantic confessions, the bold declarations that make us feel chosen, but real affection doesn't always arrive through beautiful sentences. Sometimes it arrives through effort, through presence, through the way someone consistently shows up without being asked. And because there are no poetic words attached, we fail to recognize its depth. There is someone in your life whose behavior tells a story their mouth never tells. They remember what matters to you. They adjust their schedule to make space for you. They offer help before you even realize you need it. These are not accidents. People don't invest time and energy where they feel nothing. Yet because they don't say the exact words you're waiting to hear, you assume the feeling isn't real. Words are easy for some people and terrifying for others. Not everyone is comfortable exposing their heart through language. Some people were raised to believe that expressing emotions makes them weak. Others learn the hard way that words can be used against you later. So they choose to love through action, hoping you'll feel it instead of hear it. Unfortunately, in a world obsessed with talk, quiet effort often goes unnoticed. Pay attention to consistency. Anyone can say something nice once in a while. Anyone can make a promise in a good moment. But the person who truly adores you is there in ordinary moments. They are there when you're tired, distracted, or not at your best. They don't disappear when things get inconvenient. Their actions remain steady even when emotions fluctuate. That steadiness is not boring, it is intentional. Many people confuse silence with indifference. But silence can also be respect. It can be patience. It can be someone choosing not to overwhelm you. There are people who hold back not because they don't care, but because they care enough to move carefully. They watch how you respond. They protect your space. They let you lead because they don't want to impose. That kind of restraint comes from consideration, not lack of feeling. We often chase those who talk a lot but do very little. Big words can feel exciting, intoxicating even, but without action they fade quickly. Meanwhile, the person who shows love through effort keeps building something real. They are the ones who call to check on you, who notice when you're quiet, who remember the things you never repeat. Their love is not loud, but it is dependable. If you start listening to behavior instead of waiting for speeches, you'll see the truth more clearly. Love is not always announced, but it is always demonstrated. And the person who consistently chooses you through their actions is telling you everything you need to know, even without saying a word. Someone sees your value even when you don't, and that realization can be both comforting and unsettling. Many people walk through life doubting themselves, questioning their worth, replaying old failures, and magnifying their flaws. When you see yourself this way, it becomes difficult to believe that anyone could truly adore you. So when someone treats you with care, patience, and respect, you assume they are mistaken or that their feelings won't last. There is a person who looks at you and sees more than your mistakes. They see your potential, your effort, and the quiet strength you carry every day. While you focus on what you haven't achieved yet, they notice how far you've already come. While you criticize your weaknesses, they admire your resilience. This is not because they are blind to reality, but because they are looking at you through a lens of appreciation rather than judgment. Often, we push away those who value us because their belief in us challenges the story we tell ourselves. If you spent years feeling overlooked or unimportant, being genuinely seen can feel uncomfortable. You may test them, doubt them, or downplay their affection. You might think, if they really knew me, they wouldn't feel this way. But the truth is, they know more than you think, and they still choose you. Some people recognize your worth because they've walked a similar path. They understand struggle, self-doubt, and disappointment. They see the parts of you that are still healing, and instead of running away, they feel drawn closer. Your imperfections don't scare them, they make you human. And in a world obsessed with perfection, being loved for who you truly are is rare. When someone sees your value, they encourage you without trying to control you. They want to see you grow, not because it benefits them, but because they believe in your potential. They speak life into your dreams even when you hesitate to speak them out loud. They remind you of your strength on days when you feel weak. That kind of support doesn't come from obligation, it comes from genuine care. We often look for validation from people who can't give it, while ignoring the one who already does. We chase approval from those who are emotionally unavailable, while doubting the sincerity of someone who is steady and present. It's easier to accept rejection because it fits our fears. Accepting admiration requires courage because it means confronting the possibility that you are more valuable than you believe. Learning to receive love begins with allowing yourself to be seen. It means trusting that someone else's perspective of you might be clearer than your own. When a person adores you because they recognize your worth, they are offering you a mirror, one that reflects your strength, your beauty, and your potential. Whether you accept that reflection or not can change the direction of your life. Fear and past pain can make affection look strange, and this is something many people misunderstand. When someone has been hurt deeply, they don't approach love with excitement, they approach it with caution. Their heart has learned to protect itself, so even when they feel something real, it comes out guarded, hesitant, and sometimes confusing. This doesn't mean they don't adore you. It means they are trying not to relive the pain they once survived. There are people who want to love openly, but are afraid of what love has cost them before. They remember betrayal, abandonment, or being taken for granted. Those memories don't disappear just because a new person enters their life. Instead, they influence how affection is expressed. They may pull back when things feel too intense. They may struggle to trust consistency because they've seen it disappear without warning. Sometimes affection looks strange because it is mixed with self-protection. A person may care deeply but avoid making promises. They may show interest but hesitate to define the connection. They may disappear briefly, not because they've lost interest, but because emotions have stirred old wounds. They are not running from you. They are running from memories that still hurt. Past pain teaches people to watch for signs of danger instead of signs of love. So when they adore you, they analyze their own feelings instead of surrendering to them. They move slowly, measuring every step. To you, this can feel like mixed signals. To them, it feels like survival. They are trying to make sure they don't give their heart to someone who might break it again. Many people learned early on that loving too much leads to loss. They were vulnerable once and paid a heavy price for it. So now, even when their heart opens, it does so quietly. They show care through subtle gestures rather than bold declarations. They listen more than they speak. They observe how you treat them, how you handle conflict, how you show respect. Their affection is cautious because it is precious. Fear can also make people test love without realizing it. They may push you away to see if you'll stay. They may act indifferent to see if you'll notice. These behaviors can feel confusing or even hurtful, but underneath them is a desire for reassurance. They want to know that affection won't vanish the moment they relax their guard. Understanding this changes how you interpret strange behavior. Instead of taking everything personally, you begin to see the history behind the hesitation. You recognize that loving someone who has been hurt requires patience. It requires empathy. It requires the ability to see beyond behavior and into intention. Not all love arrives fearless and free. Some love arrives wounded, careful, and quiet, hoping this time it will be safe enough to stay. Real love shows up consistently, not dramatically, and this is where many people lose their way. We live in a world that celebrates grand gestures, emotional speeches, and intense moments that feel like passion. Social media, movies, and stories have taught us that love should be loud and unforgettable. But the truth is, the kind of love that lasts is rarely dramatic. It is steady, reliable, and often so simple that it gets overlooked. There is a person who chooses you in small, everyday ways. They don't wait for special occasions to show care. They check on you when nothing exciting is happening. They listen to your problems even when they've heard them before. They make time for you even when life is busy. These actions may not create adrenaline, but they create trust, and trust is the foundation of real love. Dramatic love often burns fast and fades just as quickly. It thrives on intensity, conflict, and emotional highs and lows. Consistent love, on the other hand, grows quietly. It builds through repetition, through showing up again and again without needing applause. The person who adores you doesn't disappear when the excitement wears off. They remain when things become ordinary, when routines settle in, and when life feels unremarkable. Consistency is easy to ignore because it doesn't demand attention. It doesn't create chaos. It doesn't keep you guessing. And for people who are used to emotional turbulence, consistency can unfamiliar, unfamiliar, even boring. But boredom is often mistaken for peace. When someone truly adores you, their presence brings calm, not confusion. Their actions align with their intentions, and you don't have to decode their behavior. Real love is patient. It doesn't rush you or pressure you to be something you're not. It respects your pace, your boundaries, and your growth. The person who loves you consistently doesn't love you only when you're happy or successful. They love you when you're tired, uncertain, and struggling. They don't threaten to leave during difficult moments. They stay and work through them. Consistency also reveals commitment. Anyone can be affectionate when it's convenient. Anyone can be kind when things are easy. But the person who adores you proves it by being reliable. They answer the phone. They keep their word. They follow through on what they say. Over time, these small acts create a sense of safety that no dramatic gesture can replace. Many people chase excitement because it feels validating, but excitement fades. What remains is character, effort, and loyalty. The love that shows up consistently doesn't overwhelm you. It supports you. It doesn't drain you emotionally. It strengthens you. And while it may not look impressive from the outside, it becomes priceless on the inside. If you learn to value consistency over drama, your relationships change. You stop chasing emotional highs and start appreciating emotional security. You begin to recognize that the person who adores you may not sweep you off your feet, but they will be the one who stands beside you when life tries to knock you down. Recognition changes how you receive love, and this is often the final lesson people learn too late. Many individuals are surrounded by affection, but remain emotionally starved because they don't recognize love when it appears. They are searching for a specific feeling, a familiar pattern, or a dramatic sign, and anything that doesn't match that expectation is dismissed. Until you recognize love for what it truly is, you will keep missing it no matter how close it stands to you. When you fail to recognize love, you misinterpret intention, you question sincerity, you assume hidden motives. This usually comes from past experiences where trust was broken or emotions were manipulated. So instead of opening up, you analyze every gesture. You look for flaws. You wait for the moment it falls apart. In doing so, you keep your guard up against someone who is actually trying to care for you. Recognition begins with awareness. You start noticing patterns instead of moments. You see who is consistent, who respects you, who listens without needing to fix everything. You notice who celebrates your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. These details don't create instant excitement, but they reveal something far more important, genuine affection. When you recognize these signs, love no longer feels confusing, it feels grounding. How you receive love is directly connected to how you see yourself. If you believe you are unworthy, love will feel suspicious. If you believe you must earn affection, love will feel conditional. But when you begin to recognize your own value, you allow love to be received without guilt or fear. You stop questioning why someone cares, and you start appreciating that they do. Recognition also changes your response. Instead of testing people, you meet them with honesty. Instead of pushing them away, you communicate your needs. You stop expecting perfection and start valuing effort. This shift creates deeper connections because love grows where it is acknowledged. Ignored affection withers, but recognized affection expands. Many people don't realize how often they reject love unintentionally. They downplay compliments. They dismiss concern. They brush off support. Not because they don't want love, but because they don't know how to accept it. Recognition teaches you to pause and receive instead of deflect. It teaches you that allowing someone to care for you is not weakness, it is trust. When you recognize love, you also become more intentional with your own actions. You show appreciation, you reciprocate effort, you become present instead of distracted. Love becomes a shared experience rather than a one-sided pursuit. This mutual awareness strengthens bonds and creates emotional safety for both people. Ultimately, recognition transforms love from something you chase into something you nurture. You stop asking whether someone adores you and start observing how they show it. You understand that love doesn't need to be proven repeatedly when it is already present. Once you recognize love, you no longer struggle to receive it because you finally understand what it looks like.